Hello, survivors. Welcome to the State of Decay 2 stream. I'm your host, Geoffrey Card, again coming to you from my house, which we have sectioned off to shield me from the hordes of children that are constantly trying to beat down my door. We have a special show for you today because we are revealing all the details of Update 16, which is launching sometime this week and includes the Pawn Shop pack at the Bounty Broker, which is why we have Mark Lautenbach here. Hello, Mark.
Hello.
Mark is one of our virtual weaponsmiths. He knows the history and the details of all these weapons, so he's going to be giving us the rundown. We've also got, you can kind of hear him in the background, Brant?
Hello.
So yeah, Brant Fitzgerald is in the background there. And weird, when I click Brant's name tag, Mark shifts a little bit. I did a bad job setting this presentation, but that's okay, because this is the quarantine and we are all in this together. So, what's going to be happening is I'm going to be playing the game and reading the patch notes at the same time, which means I'm going to be terrible at reading your chats. But that's okay, because Mark and Brant are going to be trying to pay attention to it, and we've got moderators. We're going to try to answer as many questions as we can while giving you as much information as we can. And so, I guess we will get right to it. Let me switch over to gameplay mode. Alright, so, let me... Actually, you know what? Before we do gameplay, why don't we just reveal the Pawn Shop pack up front? So right here is the array of weapons that are going to be available to you via the Pawn Shop pack at the Bounty Broker. So I can actually show each of these weapons in turn on the characters, but since this is the Pawn Shop pack, Mark... and Brant, do you want to give us a little bit of a rundown on what was the thinking behind the Pawn Shop pack? Like, what's sort of the theme uniting these weapons and these these items?
Well, the real story behind it is we never stop making weapons, and some we make because we think they're going to go in a different pack, and then they get cut for various reasons. Mark made that beautiful SKS. Actually, Mark made all but one of those guns.
Did we just lose Brant?
No.
We might have lost Brant. Hey, Mark, do you want to tell us a little bit about these weapons?
Sure. Like Brent was saying, whenever we got a moment, we just keep on making stuff, and sometimes they make it in, sometimes they don't.
One of the ideas was to
Right it back.
Sorry, I got a phone call that interrupts my stream here.
Oh, great.
We decided to try and figure out how to put all these weapons that Mark had made into the game somehow, and it made sense that this was sort of the rounding up all the outliers, and so Pawn Shop made sense for us.
Yeah, because a pawn shop is where you can basically get anything you're looking for, right? And so this is sort of it's the pack that kind of grabs all of the things that we've worked on in the past that might not have fit in any of the other themes. There's nothing that doesn't fit in a pawn shop theme. I just realized that I need to do a quick cheat over in the game so that we can get the sun to come up again. And now that I've done that, let's look at one more thing.
Here comes the sun.
We've got some raincoats. So, so our wonderful character artist, the visionary who came up with some of the crazy outfits you've seen before, has now given us raincoats. They come in 5 different colors and textures, and you're going to see all of those on the characters that we're running around with today. But let's get right into the game and start looking at the stuff in person. So here we have got a lovely gray raincoat, and on this woman's back, she has got this sword. So, Mark, do you want to start out talking a little bit about this sword and where it came from?
So, I watch a lot of, I'm really into pocket knives. And if you're into pocket knives, you watch a lot of QVC, and you see the strangest hardware. And you see, these knives with, curvy blades and dragons and all that kind of stuff. And I really wanted to put something like that in the game. I just think they're awesome.
So it's like when you go to the cutlery store and you see some of the just insane showpieces, stuff that you would hang on a wall, you would not necessarily want to bring with you into a fight. This is the kind of stuff you would see, and it is just gorgeous. I mean, look how it glistens in the sun.
And I imagine, in the zombie, you're just anything will do. I need to find a weapon. And so you bust into a pawn shop, and it's like, oh, this has been, no one picked this one up yet.
Yeah.
So I'm going to use this.
By the way, I should mention to folks, if the performance on the stream is pretty bad, if the frame rate is lower than usual, and if the detail settings are kind of low, this is because we're trying to stream a development build of the game on my PC, and I'm chugging because my PC is not good enough to do both of those things at the same time, play the game and stream. I've tried to lower the visuals as much as I could to get it under the wire. If it looks a little janky, I apologize. That's because of my hardware, not because of anything going on in the game. Okay, so in addition to that, let's see here. What is the gun that she's got? She's got a G45. So can you tell me about that gun and why we wanted to get a G45 into the game?
It's probably a Brant question.
Brant, what do you think?
It's because I have one, and it was sitting there when I was trying to decide what to make, and so I just modeled what was sitting on my desk.
So it's kind of similar to the producer that we got a little while ago, which is based on our producer Aaron's gun. Oh wow! I just fired and lost some. There you go. Like I said, my computer is chugging right now, so I apologize for that. Oh, okay. Apparently, making noise causes more zombies to show up. Who would have thought?
And I feel like I need to make a comment here. As soon as you said that we're putting raincoats in, I will quash the rumor that we are adding rain to the game.
Yeah, no, that's true. These are completely preventative raincoats. These are not responding to any actual rain. This is basically raincoats are something that people sometimes wear just because they want to look cool. I mean, look at this.
Well, when you're getting covered in blood, you need to hose down quick.
Exactly. So you've noticed that in the Juggernaut edition, we actually added more blood and gore effects than we normally have, and that's what the raincoats are really for, is to keep the blood and gore off the characters. So, okay, so we've got this character. One other thing that she has, and actually, if I unequip her sword, we can see the Wormling. So this one actually looks a lot like the Wyvern. Are they meant to be a matched pair?
Yes, they are a set that you would find, in a rack over someone's mantle or something like that.
I'm trying to find a good angle to actually see this knife. Though I guess if you took a screenshot of the of that big array of weapons that I showed earlier, you can catch it there. But yeah, that is the Wormling. So the Wyvern and the Wormling, it's like a mother and daughter pair.
Yes. Yeah, it has a ivory handle. Plastic.
All right. Well, let's have a look at the rest of our community. So as you can see, I've been playing as Beatrice, but we've got an extremely fashionable group of folks here. We've got Merritt, Tara, Mary, and Maddie, all wearing different outfits. Now, Beatrice's gray raincoat, Merritt's blue raincoat, Tara's beige one, and Mary's yellow one. I think those are all available in loot. But Maddie's black raincoat is only available from the Bounty Broker. So if you want to get that outfit, you got to go to the Bounty Broker and complete some stuff. So we've got some brand new bounties, stuff you haven't had to do before, some of it tying in with heavy weapons, things like that are new to the game with the Juggernaut edition. So hopefully you'll enjoy that. Let's have a look at Merritt real quick. So Merritt is carrying the same melee weapons as Beatrice, but he's got a different pistol. His pistol is the PPQ 45. So it looks like, are both of these guns 45 caliber?
No, they are not.
Okay, that's a good question. I don't know anything about these guns, so you're the expert. You tell me what's.
The G45 is obviously patterned after the Glocks, and Glock just numbers their guns based on the patent that they're awarded for it.
Oh, so, interesting.
And the model number. So the Glock 45 is in 9mm. It makes no sense, but that's how they do.
Okay, that works. But this one, the PPQ 45, is a 45 caliber handgun.
Yes, which that is, I actually have a PPQ of my own. So I think all these guns are stuff we actually have that we just made, and eventually I hope they would get in the game, and now they are.
So everybody's personal guns basically are getting into this game. Hopefully, except for the modded SKS, because I'm pretty sure that one's not street legal.
We own every single gun in real life that is in our game.
I don't.
It's,
I
I
don't
wield
think
the
that's true.
dragon sword just to have a model.
Okay, well let's move on to some larger fare. Okay, so here we've got, what is her name? Tara. We got Tara. She's not going for these little handguns and simple swords. Now she's got what is this monstrosity, Mark?
So that I believe it's Kwando. I'm not sure exactly how it's pronounced.
You can see the name
It's
right
just
here.
A
Kwando?
Japanese, or no, a Chinese martial arts weapon. It is a bit undersized, so if you're a martial arts fan, you realize it should be about twice that big. Bear with us, we have constraints.
Yeah, our animations and our physics of our attacks are based around a certain weapon size, and so we can't just give you a full-on polearm, even though this actually, this looks like a polearm. And in real life, it would be longer. Like, you'd be, guarding a palace with this sucker, right? Or
That is a decorative version that someone might find in like a dojo over the door or something.
yeah. And then in addition to that, she's carrying what I believe is called the Hunter SKS on her back.
So yeah, the SKS, very popular rifle. You used to be able to find them all over the place, but they all got grabbed. But yeah, it's kind of a predecessor to the AK. But they function very similarly.
Oh, so this is like part of the inspiration for the AK when it was first developed?
I think they were, and Brant may know more about this than I do, but they were like basically competing designs.
Oh, interesting.
And
The SKS was a little before the development of the AK as we know today, but it's hugely popular. They made them in the millions. They shipped them over here in the millions. You used to be able to get them for $125 off the shelf, and a lot of people used that as sort of their entry gun into gun culture, because they were easy to get into, they're easy to maintain, and for a long time they were easy to get parts for. So it's people who shooters, people in gun culture, people who grew up hunting. A lot of them have had experience with the SKS, because it was also like the Soviet bloc used to do. They used to let all of their friends make them under license too, so they were made all over the world.
Well, this is it's definitely a satisfying gun to shoot. It feels very powerful when you're firing into zombies, but it's probably not the most dramatic SKS that we have. Let me grab Mary.
Oh, Mary's bad news.
Yeah, I know, she's got psychic powers, but Mary,
Also,
she's got an SKS, but her SKS is just a little bit different. Tell us about this one.
Mary was part of a biker gang, apparently, an outlaw biker gang. She's running with the non-compliant SKS, which is
non-compliant with what?
With NFA 3 laws.
Oh, look at that!
We're not supposed to have fully auto weapons, unless we have a special license from the federal government. And Mary is demonstrating her outlawish, her pirate ways by.
She's taking full advantage of the lack of a federal government in our apocalypse.
Yeah. So this one has been modified to fire full auto and accept AK mags, which that's a real thing with the SKS. I won't get into how easy it is to make it fully auto, but it's it's not outside of the realm of possibility. So
yeah, it's got a nice slow fire rate, and so it's not like you're just going crazy. It's also got a fair amount of recoil, so you have to put some work into sort of controlling your shots. Short control bursts, all that. But it's nice and powerful.
This was definitely a garage job, so it's a little messy, but it still gets the job done.
All right, so the pawn shop pack, just to review, it includes the PPQ-45, the G45. Actually, let me quickly just go to that image we have. So it's got the PPQ-45, the G45, the Hunter SKS, the non-compliant SKS, the Wyvern and the Wormling pair of blades, and the Guandao. And each of those has got a bounty associated with it, and not only that, but the black raincoat and rain hat also have bounties associated with them. The rest of those raincoats are available if you want to, scour the world and search for things. So that's sort of the star of the show when it comes to Update 16. We're labeling it the Pawn Shop Pack, but that's not the only stuff that's going on in Update 16. So let's, so Mark just did a little happy dance, and I missed it on camera. We'll have to wait till it comes back later.
We have a question from Nerdbotics asked, can you have silencers or suppressors for these new pistols? And the answer is yes.
Yeah, does the SKS also support muzzle attachments?
I believe they do, yes.
So I've got one I can check. Yes, it's got a little empty puzzle piece on there, which means that, yes, it does accept muzzle attachments. So, yeah, you can suppress or break all of these guns. And actually, that is going to lead into at least one of the major changes that we're making to the game. So I'm going to stop running around a little bit, just so that we can pretend that the frame rate of the stream is doing a little better than it is. And let's talk about some of the other things that are coming with Update 16. The first one is a pretty big one, but it's also kind of a tentative one. It says, here, I'm going to start reading from the patch notes, which are eventually, once this comes out, going to appear on support.stateofdecay.com. So if you want to review all of these patch notes, wait for the update to land, and then go to support.stateofdecay.com, and you can read everything in detail. This one says, we hammered on our multiplayer networking code and fixed several issues with zombie synchronization. There should be fewer invisible zombies, more accurate positioning, and a major reduction in the dreaded Error 3 disconnects. So, we have not had a chance to test this with millions of players, because the only way to do that is to release the patch to the wild. So, we are not going to promise you that you're not going to have any more error 3s. But what we are going to say is we have put some work into figuring out what was the major cause of a lot of these things. We have corrected some of the problems that we know were leading to error 3s. And so the hope is that you're going to see a lot less of them. But we're going to need you to check it out and see if that's correct. Because the last thing we want to do is promise something that turns out to be a disappointment. But we have been telling you for a long time that we have been working hard on this problem, trying to figure it out, trying to solve it in a way that will make multiplayer performance a lot better for you. And so we're hoping that this is a major step in that direction. So when it drops later this week, give it a try in co-op. Let us know how it's doing, and we would love to continue working on it if it needs continued work. But in the meantime, we really want you to know what a priority it's been for us to fix that problem. It's probably the thing that people talk about most in our community as something that needs to be addressed. So we're on it, and you're going to be able to see the current results of our efforts sometime this week. Next, weapons and mods is a whole category of places where we've made some changes. So first off, we have doubled the durability of all ranged and melee weapons. So we haven't changed the way that repairing works. So more durability still means that you have a higher repair cost, but you only have to repair the weapon half as often. So you should only need the same number of parts that you've always needed.
Most scavengers focus on big items.
Okay, somebody's talking.
Stock up on small comforts.
Hey,
Add up when
all
we
these
need
random
to
characters need to shut their mouths. I'm going to turn down the sound effects volume.
Shut your mouth.
Voice volume.
We're talking here.
Yeah. All you people in the community need to just be quiet. Not you, community. I mean the people in my community in the game. Anyway, so basically you should still need the same number of parts, but for instance, if you want to take your Eternal Guard's Infinite Rage out for a spin, or whatever, or your Vector or something, some gun that breaks down a lot, you can actually keep it out there for longer before you need to bring it back home and repair it. So hopefully that'll be a boon to folks, and to celebrate, and to also make things a lot simpler. When this update drops, we're just going to repair all your weapons for free. So all your weapons will be repaired once you get the new update, and then all of them are going to have twice the durability that they had before, roughly. I think with a couple of exceptions where we actually just tuned the durability of specific weapons. About across the board, they're going to be about twice as durable as before. And so that also means, as a side effect, when you salvage these weapons, you're going to get more parts for salvaging them. So basically, just all of the numbers kind of just went up by 2, by a factor of 2. So another thing that we're doing, separate from that, suppressors and brakes are getting some changes. In fact, you know what? I really should have queued up some suppressors and brakes in this community. So I should cheat a couple of those in. So let me just throw myself up here on camera while I cheat a couple of things, because we don't like revealing too much about our cheats to folks. I'm gonna go open to my ranged weapon sheets. I'm gonna give myself, I don't know, an advanced suppressor, an advanced choke, and an advanced brake. Close that down.
You don't have a shotgun, so there's really no.
I don't have a
point
shotgun.
in
That's
it.
true. I should probably get myself a shotgun. Ranged weapons. What's a good shotgun here? The I guess. Wait, the Echo S3. Does that even take muzzle attachments? What else do
No.
we have? I guess I need to just look at type.
Maybe
Shotgun.
Fall Down Go Boomstick.
Oh yeah, the fall down go boomstick. Absolutely, that's what we should use. Okay, so now that I have done that, let me just get right back to gameplay. Anyway, I've got the fall down go boomstick on my back, but we're gonna get to that in a second. So the first thing we did to keep pace with our recent restoration of suppressor power. You'll remember we reduced the power of guns with suppressors on them, and then we brought it back up again. So the reason we brought it down originally was because we felt like brakes weren't powerful enough. We wanted to balance them with brakes. So there was a reason to decide, do I want a suppressor? Do I want a brake? And it seemed like just the obvious choice was always suppressors. And so we nerfed suppressors and then decided that was the wrong move. So we put suppressors back up to normal, and now we're buffing brakes. So muzzle brakes no longer cause weapons to make additional noise. So let me switch back to this. And there's the brake. Okay, so you'll notice quietness. When I put that brake on, quietness is not going to change. Normally, quietness would get much worse when you put a brake on a gun. But now, it doesn't. It's no louder than it was before, so that downside is gone. And in addition, brakes now improve weapon durability. So now if I'm firing this weapon with a brake on, it's going to last longer out in the field. So on top of the doubling of weapon durability, now if you've got a brake on, the durability is going to last even longer. And on top of that, they improve control even more. And so they're more powerful at controlling recoil. So, for instance, you saw how much recoil this SKS had. Now it's got barely any because I've got this brake on it. And so if you've got a gun that is that you really like, but it's fairly inaccurate, which doesn't make it great against zombies who need headshots, you can put a brake on it, and not only will you be more accurate, significantly more accurate, but the gun will last longer out in the field. So if you've got that Eternal Guard's Infinite Rage, you want to get a brake on that sucker. Even if you're playing in Nightmare, even if you are desperate to stay quiet, there's really good reasons why you might want to consider taking a brake with you. So, and that's just brakes. So in addition to that, let's see here. Do I have chokes? Yes. So we've also buffed chokes. So let me switch over to the Fall Down Go Boomstick. And this choke, you'll notice it increases the accuracy and the range even more than it did before. So chokes now provide a dramatic increase to range, 50, 100, or 150% for the different levels of choke. A high-end choke now allows a shotgun to be effective at ranges previously reserved for longer pistols and shorter rifles. So it's not going to be as good as like a sniper rifle or something, but you will be able to hit things much further away. And then chokes also grant a modest increase to power, and so now if you're using a choke, for instance, against a Juggernaut, it's actually going to do more damage. Similarly, against a Plague Heart, it's going to do more damage. And we also fixed some other issues with chokes that were actually making shotguns effectiveness worse as you got further from the target, more so than we intended. And so that was just a bug. It was subtle. You might not notice the difference, but basically, as we were messing with all of these guns and testing our changes, we realized there were more fixes that we needed to do. So I hope that everybody who gets this update will go back and take another look at the weapon mod system, because there's a lot of interesting stuff to discover there. So, what else? Oh, there's still more in this weapons and mods section. What the heck is going on? Oh, yeah, so we just did a full tuning and balancing pass on the new heavy weapons. So, without listing all the details, because it was really like lots of little changes across the entire system. Basically, all heavy weapons increased in durability above and beyond the increase in durability that all the weapons got. We figured these weapons are bigger, they're heavier, they should last longer, right? They also gained additional impact, so they're better against Juggernauts and Plague Hearts. They also gained tweaks to their additional effects, like knockdown and dismember chance. It's kind of different for each weapon, so we can't say across the board what happened to all of them, but they also got some tweaks to those, which you can see if you do, before and after comparisons. And they also, a lot of them had their weight and their stamina cost adjusted. Some of them got heavier and harder to use. Some of them got lighter and quicker to use, or simpler to use. But across the board, they should feel more balanced. We've got to spend more time playing with them and spend some more time tweaking their numbers. So enjoy. And then, this is a fun one for me. And so actually, we should, I think I might want to spawn us a Juggernaut to talk about this next one. So let me just go into cheat mode here, make a Juggernaut happen. Where's the Juggernaut? There he is.
We need something big to take that.
Oh, I don't know if you guys can hear that noise. Probably just me. Okay, so to set this up, there was some great sleuthing that was done by members of our community, specifically the Erudite on Reddit. We owe a big debt of gratitude to that person, because they went through and they tested a bunch of guns against a Juggernaut, and they found out that, unbeknownst to us, some tweaking changes that we had made last year accidentally broke the differences between weapons when you're fighting a Juggernaut. So basically, it didn't matter if you were firing a .22 target pistol at the Juggernaut or if you're firing an AK-47 at it. It was taking the same number of shots to kill a Juggernaut every single time. I'm going to cough for a second. So, not coronavirus, I promise. And that's ridiculous. That's not how we wanted that to work. We wanted, bringing more power to a firefight should mean you have more power. And so now, depending on what gun you're using, you can do a lot more or less damage to a Juggernaut. And specifically, okay, so that's not going to work. Let's switch over to the SKS. Oh, get off me! Oh my gosh, I thought I was dodging, but I failed. So not only does caliber matter a lot more, but also headshots matter a lot more. You see, I'm firing a 7.62 at this guy, and you see how fast he's going down? I staggered him twice in rapid succession. And so there's several different changes here that you're seeing happening all at once. One of them is, because I'm using whoops, that was bad timing. Because I'm using a 7.62, I'm doing more damage across the board to him. Also, headshots matter more, so because I'm hitting him accurately in the head, that's staggering him much faster. Because I suck at the game, I'm getting hit a lot more often, but that has nothing to do with you. And then, on top of that, I can actually stagger him more rapidly. Like, it used to be that once you staggered a Juggernaut, it took a long time before you could stagger him again, no matter how hard you were hitting him. Now, we've reduced that quite a lot, so now, basically, you can stagger him and stagger him and stagger him again if you're hitting him consistently with high-caliber rounds. So that's it. So fighting Juggernauts is really different now. It really matters a lot more which gun you bring. It matters how you're shooting, what your aim is like, and so if you come in prepared and you're a good shot, you should feel like that makes a much bigger difference than it did before the update. And then finally, in this section, heavy weapons can now be found when you're looting a Plague Heart. So that's just a very simple thing. It used to be that basically we just didn't add them to those loot tables, and now they've been added. So there you go. So, whew, that was a lot. So, the weapons just feel really different now, right? Like, there's definitely a reason to come back to the game and sort of check out all these differences. Oh, it sounds like my kids are paying a visit. Okay, so what else do we have here? Gameplay section.
They feel like we thought they should in the first place, and like, oh, they weren't doing that? Okay, let's do that now.
That's the thing, it can be really, when you're just in the heat of the moment, it's really difficult to sort of tell exactly what's happening. Like when I was helping to play test these Juggernaut changes, when I first tried testing it, I couldn't really tell if there was a difference or not, because I was just so scared for my life the entire time I was fighting. But we got some debug stuff in there that let me see on the screen how many times I was actually hitting the Juggernaut, and I realized, oh wow, no, I actually am hitting him twice as many times with the smaller weapons than I was hitting him with the larger weapons. So it can be hard to tell. So that's why it was really, really helpful for the Erudite to have done all that research and fed us all the information.
Huh? I've got a question.
Yeah.
50 calibers still unaffected by this change.
50 calibers were already ridiculous, and they're still ridiculous. Yeah. So that's still the same. Yeah, so basically it's mostly the guns between 22 and 762 that needed to have this work done on them. Okay, so gameplay. Destroying an infestation now creates a temporary moratorium on the creation of new infestations, removing that annoying moment when an infestation pops up literally 10 seconds after you cleared out the last one. So that was something that we've been noticing internally, and I think we've been hearing about it from folks in the community. We just really wanted, like, when you have that moment where you've just cleared the last infestation and you want to feel good about yourself for a little while, it really kind of was annoying that randomly, depending on just the timing of things, sometimes your next infestation would appear right afterwards. That won't happen anymore. Another thing, the death of a zombie no longer automatically gets the attention of the horde that they're a part of. Now, I wonder if I can test this one out. If I spawn a horde, it kind of depends what direction they're facing when I spawn them. So let me see if I can make this happen. Zombie cheats. Where do I spawn a horde? Spawn horde. Normal horde.
You're such a cheater.
I know, I really am. Okay, it looks like I do have a horde that is facing away from me. So let's get into the game. Alright, so it used to be, prior to update 16, hordes were basically... They had a sort of a hive mind thing going on where if you killed one, the other zombies would automatically notice and respond. And so we've turned that off. So now it really just depends on the actual noise that you make. So now these guys are clustered up really tightly, and I'm not sure why. So I might not be able to demonstrate this because I might make too much noise just taking one out. But let's give it a try.
I noticed.
Oh crap! Nope, everybody noticed me. Never mind. Hold on. Oh yeah, there's a clown zombie in there. Well, I'm not going to be able to demonstrate this for us on the air, but I promise I've done this in this build before, and it's great. And also, this SKS is awesome. Oh, last bullet. Nice move.
That's my kind of stealth gameplay, by the way.
Yeah, exactly. That's whenever I have to, kill a zombie from stealth, I usually dodge through them, crouch, and then suddenly grab them from behind.
No, I was saying using an automatic weapon from distance.
Oh yes, absolutely. Yeah, the best kind of stealth is the one where there's no one left standing afterwards. But if you have a group that is not so bunched up, you can actually sneak up behind them and stab them in the head one at a time and take the whole thing down. I've done it, and it's great. When a zombie is on the ground next to a container, we now prioritize finishing the zombie with the interact button rather than looting the container. So because we keep prompting you with that Y button, some people were like, they were trying to kill that last zombie and they kept hitting the container instead, and it was so frustrating. So now you kill the zombie first, and then the zombie's gone, and now you can open the container. AI-controlled humans are now able to shoot zombies out to the effective range of their weapons. They previously were inadvertently limited to about 50 meters, and so zombies that were far away, they wouldn't shoot. And it was mostly people in watchtowers that was affecting. So watchtowers should be more useful and effective now that humans can shoot, out to the effective range of their guns. And similarly, AI-controlled humans now get into vehicles more promptly, avoiding walking in indecisive circles beforehand. So that'll be fun. And we're actually, we really have heard the community talking about how, our AI is an area where they'd really like us to make improvements. So we're continuing to work on AI improvements as we go. So, facilities. We removed the influence cost for reveal map exits. Now, I'm not going to show you that one because that would involve using the cheat facility. And I realized I should have done that in advance. But, that's how it goes. But, so basically, if you want to reveal map exits and move maps, you no longer have to pay influence to do that. It's just free. Similarly, if you're checking a character into the infirmary to halt the progress of blood plague, that no longer has an ongoing meds cost. So it used to be if you had somebody checked in to keep them from progressing with the blood plague, you would have to pay extra meds every turn, or every day, every half day, and that's not the case anymore. You just check people into the infirmary and they're taken care of. You don't have to pay any extra cost. Though I think the infirmary itself still has an ongoing meds cost. Characters who are made busy by a mission can still be checked into an infirmary. So if you've got some kind of mission, like some of the early missions that take your characters and make them busy so you can't do things with them, it used to be you couldn't check them into the infirmary if they got blood plague, but now you can. Because you can check them out again at will if you need to do something with them. So it didn't seem like it would break anything to do it that way. We fixed an inconsistency with the amount of experience that was awarded by primary care, which is one of the actions in the Infirmary 3. It used to be 200, but actually it's the same action that existed on the Infirmary 1 and 2, so we dropped it down to 100 because that just seemed like it made sense. So we fixed an issue where the emergency medicine action was awarding mechanics skill experience instead of medical skill experience. So apparently we were doing emergency medicine by turning people into cyborgs before, but that's not happening anymore. Now apparently they're actually doing proper medicine and improving the medicine skill. Oh! And the new Ranger SUV, which we don't have here at the base, it can be upgraded to a smash wagon now, like all the other SUVs. It used to be that it couldn't, but now it can. So,
Hey, Geoffrey,
yes.
Geoffrey, we have a question from Warbucks. Does that prioritization of executions fix we did apply to cars, trunk, fuel, door, etc.?
That is a very good question. I'm not dead certain about that. Whether it applies across the board. I think the containers are treated as separate from those. So we had noticed the problem being particularly severe around containers. We're also right now putting continued work into figuring out the right way to prioritize interactions when you're dealing with finishers and car doors and containers and characters all in the same area, all wanting you to use the same button at the same time. We've got some improvements that we're still working on that go above and beyond what you'll see in Update 16. So we'll be able to talk more about the details of that later on. So community. I think this will be a popular one. The numbers that lead to characters starting fights based on their traits have been changed to fall in line with the existing morale thresholds. So when I talk about morale thresholds, what I'm talking about is each of our morale levels. Oh, actually, this isn't the place to look at it. The place to look at it is on the individual characters. So yeah, so you see that Mary is cheerful, because her morale is between a certain set of brackets. It used to be that we had one set of numbers determining what labels the characters would get, and another set determining how their moods would lead them to start fights. And so we brought those into line with each other, and we've made them, in the process, less likely to start fights. So characters who have traits that say they are irritable will now not start fights unless they're below cheerful. And cheerful is actually a pretty easy level to get people to. So anybody who's irritable, you can stop them from starting fights by just getting them to cheerful. And similarly, characters who have the traits that say they start conflicts, those characters they're even more sensitive than the irritable characters. But they won't start fights unless they're below empowered. So if you get them to empowered, they're going to stop starting fights. And so this is more forgiving than it was before. And so it should be easier for folks who like keeping their morale up. They should be able to stop those kinds of fights happening altogether more easily than they could before. Similarly, characters at your base will no longer complain about noise levels until, let's see here, I got to get out of here, until the threat level is at least 14. And so I think 14 is that second line. So you see that the down below, the threat level, it's got these two lines, the minimal line and then the really scary line. They're not going to complain about noise around the base unless you get up to the scary line, because they were just complaining if there was like any noise at all, and they were nagging us, and it wasn't cool. So we turned that off. Not turned it off, but we gave it a less sensitive threshold. And then, let's see here. Oh, morale-driven filth on your characters, which I don't think we're seeing a lot because my characters are fairly happy right now. But characters get dirty when your community is sad. That now actually translates to multiplayer. So basically, it underscores the importance of taking a shower before you hang out with your friends, because now they can actually see the filth on your body. And then running low on meds no longer issues an inaccurate food dire penalty to morale. Basically, we just had that hooked up to the wrong thing, and so now that's fixed. Okay, this is one that I can actually show. So let's see here. When you equip an item directly from your supply locker. Okay, let's empty out some of our inventory here. Okay, so let's get rid of our stuff. All right, so I've got this SKS set up as my equipped weapon. But what I really want is the FDGB. So I hit the X button. What happens? So I think in the game that's in the wild right now that everyone's used to, if I hit X right now, the SKS is going to go into my backpack and the shotgun is going to go into my hands. And then since what I wanted to do was just swap the two, I have to go manually remove the SKS from my backpack, and it's annoying. And 99% of the time, what I want is for the SKS to go into the supply locker. I'm swapping them. And so now that's what happens. It actually happens the way you expect it to. And so you can just swap the weapons out with the supply locker. That also works with the trunk of a vehicle, and you don't have to deal with the with things just randomly going into your backpack. That's one of my favorite things that's actually happening with this update. It's weird because I've been going back and forth between the live build in the wild and the build that we have internally, and it keeps driving me crazy that it's back that it's different because I like this way so much better. Another thing. Let's see here. I've got my mouse here. I've usually been playing with a controller, but let's. Wait, I don't have enough stuff. I don't have stuff to show you about scroll bars. Well, let's find something that's got a scroll bar on it. Settings menu, maybe? Let's see here. Look at that! Whoa! You can actually click and drag scroll bars. I know that doesn't sound very exciting, but I'm very excited about it. Because that was actually a lot of work. Like, the scroll bars and all the menus, they're all separate from each other. Somebody went through and made it so they would all work. And that was amazing, and I'm very thankful to that person. Also, when we unlock achievements, traditionally we've had achievements popping up on the bottom of the screen, which meant if you were trying to read subtitles, it would often block the subtitles and get in the way. So now if we earn achievements, they show up at the top of the screen. And so that's just it's mostly it's nice for people, especially because a lot of our folks who play the game in countries in non-English speaking countries who are really reliant on our subtitles because we haven't localized all of the audible dialogue. And so not only is it people who just use subtitles regularly in any country, but also there were entire populations of people playing our game in entire countries who, if they got an achievement, would suddenly not be able to follow any of the dialogue in the game. And so now achievements pop up at the top, which means you can keep reading when they're popping up. Moving to a new map in Nightmare no longer reveals all the play cards. We were accidentally revealing all the play cards when you changed maps in Nightmare, and now that doesn't happen. Dead characters and empty leader slots no longer offer you access to their closets. So it used to be, I don't think it happened all the time, but there were certain conditions where being on the empty leader slot or on a gravestone would offer you the closet. You'll notice it's kind of behind me in Mark's head, but you can see there's no closet when you switch to the empty leader slot. And so you can't just try to dress up this empty mannequin because that was just going to be weird. And then let's see here, what else? Mark, I realize I'm the one who's sitting here reading this whole time, and I'm like, I've got poor Mark just sort of sitting there on the screen. I don't know. Do you want me to make you fade away, or you want to sit here and monitor everyone and look over my shoulder?
Well, if you can keep the arrow from poking me in the face.
Oh, what arrow? What are you talking about, Mark? What are you talking about? Okay, so let's see here. Dead characters, blah blah blah. We reduced the time that it takes to load up the community screen. So it used to be that particularly on original Xbox Ones, making this move from map to community would take a long time. So we put some effort into reducing that time, so you don't feel like you have to go around the back in order to get to the base screen. You should actually feel willing to go through the community screen again. The key binding screen no longer issues a warning when you leave the older dodge and crouch action unbound. So it used to be that, dodge and crouch were always on the same button, and it was a really important control. So we would always warn you. If you left it unbound, we would warn you as you're leaving the screen, hey, you left this really important thing unbound. Now, we've replaced it with 2 independent buttons for crouching and dodging. And so now there's 2 different ways to do it. You can still use that old key binding that puts them both on the same button, or you can use the new ones, and you don't have to use any particular one. So that warning was out of date, so we've removed the warning now. On the main menu, we've bound the option to delete. If you're going through and looking at your legacy pool, the delete button used to be on A. So it was really easy to just try to select someone, not being sure what would happen, and then get prompted to delete them. You're like, oh, no, wait, I don't want to delete that character. So now that's on the X button, so it's a little bit easier to avoid hitting it by accident. And hey, remember last update and the last time we did one of these patch note streams, when we said we had made it possible to bind Interact and Quick Finisher to the same button? We made a mistake. That wasn't in update 15.1. That was in update 16. So that's actually happening now. You can actually bind them to the same button, and it actually works. And then we also just did some additional minor cleanup work on the interface, making sure you can see what you needed to see. There's lots of little tiny bugs that we're always trying to, smooth out. All just little like edge cases and things like that every game has. We've done some more work to smooth it out so that the interface is slicker and works a little better. So we're getting right down to it. So it's 3:45. We got 50 minutes left. I think we can actually do this whole thing. So missions. We fixed an issue with map markers on vehicles. It was making them very difficult to find in missions like Action Hero Fast Cars, Rookie Mistake, and the mysterious broadcast with the abandoned van. Basically, for a little while, map markers on vehicles just broke. And so we would tell you, go find this Jeep. And you'd be like, what Jeep? And nothing on the map would tell you. And we're sorry. So that's fixed now. We also slightly increased the starting resources for players who skip the tutorial. So now you begin with 6 food, 2 meds, and 3 materials. I believe that in the Juggernaut edition, we were only starting you with the food. And so now you've got all 3 of those to sort of give you a little bit of a fast start, a little bit of a leg up. So you can build your first facility, that sort of thing, without having to first go out and scavenge for a bunch of basics.
A job like this needs everybody at full strength.
Um,
How are we supposed to continue now?
I don't want to talk over this guy. I feel rude. Okay, anyway. And then just a list of other small mission fixes. Builder, give me the loot. Though it's still rare, spawns more often than it used to. Builder, pillage, and plunder no longer instructs you to stick a rucksack in your supply locker, because while some people were able to do that, that's not what you're supposed to do with them. But that's what it actually said in the text. Sheriff, right of way, can no longer cost you an alliance with an enclave. So it used to be that mission would make it very easy for you to just lose one of your alliances and feel like you had to. And so now it doesn't cost you that. Claiming the shop has had its missing map marker restored, making the shop much easier to claim. I'm going to cough real quick. So that was another issue with the missing map marker, but it was a different kind of issue than the vehicles that were missing them. Maslow's hierarchy, which is the name of the mission, no longer appears and you already have the lounge it wants you to build. So it used to be possible if you had built a lounge, you would get a mission to build a lounge. You're like, hey, I got a lounge. And they're like, no, build a lounge. You're like, no, but what about this lounge? No, I need more lounges. That's not going to be happening anymore. Who should lead no longer doubles up on the same leader tutorial if you recruit a new community member. So it used to be basically the way we were sort of tracking down which character would answer questions about which leader type. It used to be that if you had recruited the new enclave, this is at the very beginning of the game, if you'd recruited the new friendly enclave, like one of your people would be like, hey, I want to be a sheriff. And one of the people in the enclave would be like, I also want to be a sheriff. And you'd have to hear the same spiel twice. So that doesn't happen anymore. And then finally, Connect with Other Survivors, which is also the name of one of the early missions, now handles the scenario where you start the mission already in the possession of a food rucksack. So it used to be the mission wouldn't progress unless you went and got a food rucksack, even if you already had one on your back. And so now it can actually tell you've got one on your back, and it proceeds as normal. And finally, we got the miscellaneous section, the most exciting section that everyone loves. I appreciate Mark acting as surrogate for the audience, making a big sigh of surprise and relief that we're getting towards the end. So we added a console-only option to the video settings, which means I can't show it to you because I'm playing it on PC. What does it do? It's called TV Display Border Overscan. And what that means is if you got one of those TVs that cuts off all the borders of the screen, you can kick in some settings that will shrink the image of the game so that it fits within your TV boundaries. We don't offer that on PC because PCs don't typically have that problem the same way that when you're playing on a console with a TV does. We also made several minor map fixes, like lots of minor map fixes, as we're always working on those, with such effects as avoiding the player getting trapped by geometry, especially around their own parking spaces, preventing characters from spawning on rooftops, preventing players from getting trapped inside plague-engorged houses in Heartland, because that's disgusting, creepy debris floating above the road. I said here, if you want to see weird floating debris on purpose, check out the game Overland. It's really fun. It's available on lots of different platforms. We are not supposed to have floating debris in our game. They have it in theirs. So go check out their game if you want floating debris. We're fixing ours. We also fixed a few clipping issues on character outfits and hair so that they should look more like they're actually wearing the clothes. We also fixed a few rare crashes and softlock bugs. And this is for folks who are playing the game out in certain places outside of the US. We expanded our support for international keyboard standards. So if you've got a French AZERTY keyboard, we now use ZQSD instead of WASD as the default for controlling characters, because those are the same buttons on the AZERTY keyboard, I imagine. And similarly, players with German and Italian keyboards can use 0 instead of the equal sign to reset their keybinds. Because I believe that they put the equal sign in a different place on the keyboard than on American and English-speaking keyboards. And so we had sort of a hard-bound default in there that didn't work on their keyboards. And so now they've got an option that will make sure that it works on theirs. And then finally, we fixed multiple localization issues affecting text in various languages. And there's usually, it's pretty easy to let errors like that slip into the game. And so, there's usually a fair number of those with each update we do and each time we revise text. But we fixed a bunch of those, so hopefully the game should seem like it makes more sense and was written by sensible people if you speak a language other than English. So that is the whole list. We got through the whole thing, folks. I'm excited. Thank you for your patience.
Rob didn't catch all that, so you can repeat that?
Oh crap. Okay, well, let me just go all the way to the top. So, multiplayer. We hammered out... Okay, anyway. So, the big top-level things to take away from this. Number one, we've got the Pawn Shop Pack. We've got a bunch of... This is not one of the things in the Pawn Shop Pack. I'm just carrying stuff that's not from the Pawn Shop Pack. What is wrong with me? I mean, it's the fall down gun, which is great. We all love it. But let's get an SKS back on there. And let's suppress it, because why not? All right, so we've got a bunch of fancy weapons. We've got this Guandao. We've got this SKS, and a bunch of other weapons available from the Bounty Broker. We have got raincoats and rain hats in many different colors. Most of them are available in loot, but a couple of them, the black ones, are available from the Bounty Broker. We have put some effort into trying to mitigate the problems we've been having with Error 3, so that people should be able to play more stable co-op games. And we would love to have feedback from the community about how well that works, because fixes like that are usually, we find out how well they work when we see them working with millions of people at once. And so we're looking forward to finding out how that's going. We have retuned a bunch of weapons. We've changed it so that brakes no longer have the downsides they used to have. They don't make guns louder anymore. They make guns more durable, and they have a stronger impact on recoil control. And also weapons against Juggernauts. More powerful weapons now have a more serious impact on Juggernauts. Specifically, we're talking about ranged weapons. We're continuing to look into the question of melee weapons and if they need to be corrected a little bit in order to work with the Juggernauts. But when you're dealing with guns specifically, higher caliber guns now work better. Better aim at the head now works better. And you can actually stagger him more often and make faster progress towards taking him down. And chokes are more valuable on shotguns. They have a stronger effect, and it makes them, and also makes shotguns more effective against Juggernauts. The heavy weapons have been retuned. Infestations don't show up under such annoying circumstances. You've got hordes you can kill your way through in stealth. Map exits are free. People don't start fights as often. You don't have to get your morale up as high to prevent the fights from happening. And my favorite, you can switch weapons at a container. I'm just do that again because it feels so good. Oh, look at this. Oh, I want my Arctic Warrior. Boom. I want my FDGB. Boom. No extra steps. Feels so great. So, yeah. So, I guess we're done. I don't know. I'm just going to stretch. You know what? I think I'm done for today. I'll just leave it on Mark's face. Mark can just talk to everybody.
So
Sorry.
I'm absolutely not going to sing a song. No one needs to hear that.
I'm not going to do that to Mark.
My
So,
fault.
For about
Mark's in the
half the
background.
comments were for song requests.
oh man, did we miss out on a bunch of songs we could? If I hadn't just been jabbering this whole time, trying to get through the entire patch notes list, we could have been serenaded by Mark Lautenbach, and we've just missed that opportunity. I can't believe it.
Shucks.
But yeah, so, another thing we didn't mention. So right now, if you open up the game, if you go look at the Bounty Broker, you're going to see a warning today that says the Critical Response Pack is going away. That is not true anymore. We thought it was going to be true. Back when we shipped the Juggernaut Edition, we were planning on taking out the critical response pack with update 16, but we decided not to. And the reason was because we realized we got so many new players who have just barely started scratching the surface of what's available from the bounty broker. We didn't want to yank one of their bounty packs away right when they were just getting into it. And so basically, we decided to put a moratorium on it. So we are sort of delaying that for a little bit, and we're not going to take it away. So if you've been worried about losing the critical response pack this month, you're not going to lose it this month. You're going to keep it. You're going to get the pawn shop pack on top of it, but you're not going to lose one this month. Now, next month, you probably will lose one. We're going to start running out of space again, and we're going to start clearing some room to make room for stuff we're planning on doing in the future. So you've got if there's some stuff you wanted to get from the critical response pack, go get it because you're going to get one more month to do it. For now, we should also reassure you that just because it's going away, fairly soon, that doesn't mean it's never coming back. I'm sure Mark can attest to the love and care that went into making these weapons. The last thing we want them to do is vanish into the ether, never to return. So
It's true.
yeah. So do we have any last minute questions or anything like that? I mean, Nightmaker 1979 wants to know if we can get a mystery machine. No. That copyright is owned by someone, or that trademark is owned by someone.
Geoffrey,
Yes.
a lot of people who came in maybe a little later want to know when it's released.
Oh, so we haven't given a specific date for that, but it is going to be this week, and so keep your eyes on your Xbox or on your PC for when the update becomes available. But it's going to be very soon. Basically, if we're going to be revealing this many details, that means that we're confident it's coming out very soon and we're ready to go. We just can't tell you the exact date quite yet.
Nope.
But yeah, so it'll be by the end of the week you're going to have it. And anything else? Oh, I fell way behind on the chat over here. For some reason, I keep having to the chat gets ahead of where I've scrolled to it, so I have to keep manually scrolling down to keep up with it. So other things we should say. So if after you get update 16, if you're still having big issues with error 3 or you start encountering any other bugs that you want to report to us, support.stateofdecay.com is where you want to go with that information. So if you go there, there's a place where you can lodge a ticket basically to report the issue that you're having, describe the bug you're having, and that's going to go into our system, and we're going to find a way to help it. Or if it's something that if you're having some kind of technical issue that maybe people have had before, and you can get some advice to fix it on your own, there's also some highly qualified people there to help you out with that. And so we've got now. It has been a little bit slower lately. We've been slower to respond lately compared to the past because we've had so many brand new players showing up for the very first time with the release of the Juggernaut edition and a release on Steam. And so expect it to be a little bit slower than it used to be. But we're also starting to catch up, and we're going to be making progress. And hopefully, basically, we've got some a very professional team of people working on this, and they're making up the backlog, and we're going to get on top of it. And what else? I mean, we've got, if you're watching this on YouTube later, we're going to have a bunch of links down in the doobly-doo to finding us on Discord, finding us on Twitter, finding us on Instagram. There's all these places you can keep track of us if you want to, keep up with the latest news about upcoming updates, that sort of thing. Megan, our social media manager, keeps all that stuff up to date, fills you with information. In fact, she comes up with a lot of these diagrams and things like that. These also get posted on social media. I'm just stealing them for the stream. She didn't make them for the stream. You can get all of these lovely images by following us on all of our social media accounts. So you should definitely do that. I don't know. Do we have any any last minute things? Any Actually, I'm curious, Mark and Brant. What's your favorite weapon from the pawn shop pack?
Well, mine's got to be the PPQ. I've waited for that thing to pop in for quite some time.
Is that because it's your personal gun?
Yes. I've got the 9mm version, but the 45 is pretty sweet too.
So should I assume that means that for Brant, it's the other gun that was based on his personal weapon?
Nope.
Oh, which one is it for you?
No, I'm so happy that Mark's beautiful model of the SKS is making it in as the Hunter. I love that one.
Okay, cool. So yeah, so here I've got Mark's favorite weapon. How did it get so dark so fast? I gotta do something about that. Oh, what am I talking about? We only got 1 minute left in the stream anyway. So why don't we say our goodbyes? So I should especially, thank Mark and Brant for coming in here. Mark, thank you so much for making these guns and for giving us a tour of
You're
them.
welcome, sir.
And also for just staying so connected to our community, especially our streaming community. I mean, there's so many people out there who, when they see you are going to be on the stream, get really excited because you've basically you've befriended so many people and been such a great sort of ambassador for our studio. I'm really glad to have you out there. So not to put you on the spot or anything, but thank you for everything you're doing.
I love our community. They are the best people, and they respond so well to all the things we do. And yeah, I just love you guys.
And of course, Brant, thank you so much for coming in here and helping us too.
Yeah, of course.
Yeah. And with that, I guess we'll say goodbye. So that was our patch notes for Update 16. Expect that to drop sometime in the coming week, and we're looking forward to getting your feedback and continuing to work on this game into the future. We've got more planned. This is not the last update. We're still working on this game. In fact, you heard several of those patch notes. I kept saying, you know what? There's even more we're doing in this category. So stick with us. We're going to continue to work on this game, continue to make it better. We're as excited about improving it as you are. So yeah, I can't wait till you guys get a chance to check it out. And we're going to get out of here.
All right. Thanks, everybody. Love you.
We do love you. Stay safe out there.
So right now, Mark is showing everyone his... Oh, no. We went to...
Oh, no.
Oh, everyone can see Chewbacca, except they can't.
I'm setting up my guitar now.
Okay.
Music